We have them all. We now know every quirk contained within One For All, and wow, it is quite a roster. All For One may have more abilities stockpiled, but these 6 quirks of One For All are strong. We've got utility quirks, offensive quirks, and mobility quirks too. This legacy of heroes has created a tapestry with these 6 powers, each one growing stronger generation after generation. And now, it has finally come to fruition. One For All, with every quirk awakened, is more than equal to All For One. Well guys, it is time to celebrate. In this video, we'll be going over every quirk contained within One For All. We'll look at how they work, what Deku can do with them, and how they can work together. Individually, these are cool powers that could make for a skilled pro hero. But combined, they've turned Deku into something greater than his peers. One combo may even let Deku counteract Shigaraki's infamous Decay quirk. If he can work out how to combine his powers properly, Izuku Midoriya may end up becoming the greatest hero ever. Let's get into it. But before we go any further, this video is sponsored by Monster Legends. Monster Legends is your new favorite free-to-play mobile game available on Android and iOS. This game has no shortage of monsters to collect with various different elements and rarities. I mean, there's already more than 1,000 of them, and new monsters are released every week. It's pretty incredible. Not to mention, you can breed different monsters to bring complete new species to life. You can then feed your newly hatched monsters to make them evolve and boost their powers with runes, relics, and talents. With your team, you will be able to take on other monster masters in battle for trophies and rewards. The game also has major collaborations. To celebrate the return of the show, they teamed up with The Walking Dead to create 6 new monsters inspired by the characters Rick, Daryl, Michonne, Negan, Carol, and Maggie. They've got some really powerful abilities, so you won't want to miss out on this chance to take your game to the next level. To begin your journey, download Monster Legends today with the link in the description or by scanning the QR code on screen for a special starter pack of 100,000 gold, 20,000 food, 3 gems, and Mothman. Thanks to Monster Legends for supporting the channel, but now, back to the topic at hand. Float. Shimura Nana's quirk Float is a solid foundation for a heroic power set. At a baseline, it's not too impressive. It doesn't let the wielder simply soar through the air, they just don't fall. A field of force holds them aloft. You can't gain rapid height or velocity with it. It should have been a very mundane quirk, something like Inko Midoriya's limited telekinesis, a low-power version of full-on flight. Compared to Gran Torino or Hawks, who have extremely fast aerial movement quirks, Float seems distinctly lacking. However, as we will see with other quirks on this list, it has been pushed beyond. We have seen Deku go all out with Float now, and his top speed looks insane. This goes beyond simply standing on air. Float is one of the abilities most clearly enhanced by One For All. There is more output created than he needs to stay aloft. It gives Deku enough power to fly at significant speeds, even without extra boosts from his environment. At this point, the name seems misleading. However, this quirk gives Deku an additional edge. Unlike most flight heroes who need to manage their momentum to stay aloft, Deku can simply hold his ground. Float lets him stand there in mid-air. It's extremely hard to get him to crash or make mistakes in mid-flight. He can't maneuver with as much speed as Gran Torino, but it's going to be tough to knock Deku out of the sky. The only real option for that is brute force, which would work just the same on those faster heroes. But before we go any further, be sure to subscribe to the channel with notifications on, and hit the like button for some plot art today. Black Whip. The first additional quirk Deku unlocked, Black Whip, still stands out. With this ability, the user throws out lines of energy that allow them to manipulate things at range. It is a highly varied, useful ability that Deku's shown a lot of creativity with. Black Whip helps our hero with traversal, functioning like a grapple line. It can be used to incapacitate, confining villains temporarily. It even works as a straight-up attack, lacking the full force of a proper smash, but buying Deku enough time to be able to close the distance. Interestingly, Black Whip gets stronger based on Deku's emotional state. Rage and fear both give it a significant power boost, and Deku has gotten better at controlling that over time. The first time you awakened it, however, the quirk went full on berserk, erupting over a massive area. And it's worth thinking back to that. Imagine what that could do if Deku was able to get it properly under control. Black Whip certainly has real potential to work as a direct attack should Deku be able to focus that level of power. More than combat use, however, Black Whip's true value is its utility. It expands Deku's reach, letting him rescue people at a distance even while pulling himself away. If he splits the whip line, it can help him save a ton of people at once. Deku can even use it to reinforce his arms, helping him deal with the full power of One For All. There is a lot of creative potential here. Imagine tying up your opponent only to throw them through a wall, or missing only to pull a heavy object forward to hit a villain from behind. The only limit on Black Whip is Deku's creativity, and the kid has proven himself consistently imaginative. So really, there is no need to underestimate what he can do with it. Smokescreen. The most utility-focused quirk on this list, Smokescreen is simple to explain. It generates, well, a smokescreen. The user creates a large amount of smoke enough to conceal a nearby area. This is a mixed bag. In regular fights, it is highly useful, either allowing you a chance to escape or dodge a powerful attack. Minor League of Villains member Mustard has a similar quirk and proved its utility during his fight with Kendo and Tetu Tetu. One dork with a gun was able to take on 2 battle-ready hero students by himself. This just shows you what limiting your opponent's visibility can really do. And hey, Smokescreen can more than keep up with Mustard's quirk. At full power, Deku can fill a city street with fog enough to cover a wide area. However, there is a catch here. While useful against most opponents, Smokescreen doesn't seem likely to do much against All for One. The ultimate villain spent most of his time collecting quirks. Some variety of night vision or infrared has to have been one of them. And even if that's not the case, search will enable him to locate Deku extremely quickly. It may not be precise enough to aim with, but that's not a problem. That just means he has to use a big enough attack to make sure he doesn't miss. Furthermore, Deku doesn't have a clear way to see through his own smoke, and that drastically limits its viability in combat. Even if your opponent can't see you, if you can't see them, you can't punch back. It has potential, but it hasn't been a major quirk so far. Could it become important again somewhere down the line? Well, we'll see. A good support item might help Deku with this issue, but he isn't exactly short on options. Danger Sense. Next up, it is Danger Sense. Giving Deku a warning of every attack that is heading his way, this is a strong combat-focused quirk. Beyond making Deku tough to ambush, it is so precise he can use it to help dodge blows, as shown in his fight with Muscular. With this edge, it is going to be hard to hit this hero. He can feel every blow coming before you can even move your fist. Super Strength gets way less impressive if you can't even land a punch. Danger Sense does have some weak spots, however. Firstly, this power is limited by Deku's own reaction time. While her first few shots were intercepted, Lady Nagan was able to shoot Deku too quickly for him to react. Along with that, there is the fact that it works based on hostile intent. Any hostile intent. An angry mob has been shown to overwhelm Deku, their anger making him paralyzed. It is going to make it tough for Deku to fight a large group of angry enemies. Even if he doesn't freeze up, multiple sources of danger will be tough to read. Furthermore, enemies without hostile intent can fool Danger Sense. And that may seem like a weird issue at first glance. How can you stab someone without hostile intent? Well, Toga has demonstrated how that could be a problem. Her attacks, once rooted in love, wouldn't trigger Danger Sense. The same thing would happen with a drone strike. Whatever intent the operator may have, the drone is just a gun. With no emotions to read, Deku may have some issues detecting them through Danger Sense. Not to mention, as far as we've seen, it doesn't seem like Deku is able to stop using this quirk. Danger Sense is more involuntary than most quirks, especially the quirks at Deku's disposal. It is to the point where its original user had to isolate himself from all others. So for as great as Danger Sense can be, it can also be a huge weakness for Deku. Over-reliance may lead you to more vulnerabilities, and being overwhelmed may lead to you being more vulnerable. It's imperfect, but it is absolutely useful. It's just not as useful as the next entry on our list. Fa-Jin. Quirk of the third user, Fa-Jin, is an oddity. The name alone makes it stand out. A term so specific that the translators gave up. It turns out this quirk is rooted in Chinese martial arts. The name is a technical term. Fa-Jin describes the idea of refining and releasing explosive power. If you have ever heard of Bruce Lee's famous one-inch punch, he uses this same concept of focus energy. And since we don't know the identity of the third user, could he have been one of the infamous clones of Bruce Lee? Nah, probably not. Anyway, Fa-Jin is basically that idea turned into a quirk. Deku can stockpile energy by repeating a gesture. Then, when the time is right, he can release it. This essentially makes Fa-Jin a mini one-for-all. It is a power accumulation quirk inside a power accumulation quirk. Very Inception-like. Deku uses to replicate one-for-all's full strength more safely, performing a faux 100% Manchester Smash against Lady Nagan. Interestingly, we have seen that this isn't limited to punching. Fa-Jin is probably the most cumbersome quirk in Deku's arsenal. Sure, it is cool, but it is hard to use. The setup required to use it takes time, and once expended, the power has to be replenished. This is not something you want to rely on in a fight. It simply takes too long to activate. However, it is also one of the more versatile abilities within One for All. It provides additional strength to any action. If you're able to develop a plan, Fa-Jin will help you make it happen. And we all know Deku loves to plan. Gear Shift. The second quirk is the most recently revealed, and wow. Of all the abilities locked within All for One, This one may be the strongest. I mean, it is just plain ridiculous. I know it is easy to overlook, it may seem to be underwhelming, but trust me, this is crazy stuff. Gear Shift affects the speed of those touched by it. We have seen Deku use it to slow Shigaraki and boost him, slowing down his enemy and making himself move faster. It is a very specific form of super speed, one that stacks up to 5 times. Even at this point, it should be clear how important Gear Shift will be for Deku. Super speed is a ridiculous power set. At high levels, it gets downright unbeatable. Faster reactions and the ability to move beyond an area can be enough to win a fight on their own. No amount of strength or raw force can top speed. Even if you try to trick the user into crashing, they can slow down just as easily. One of the very few weaknesses of super speed does not apply here. Given the phrasing used when describing Gear Shift, however, this ability may have even more applications than just personal movement. If you can change the speed of someone you touch, what about something? Imagine being able to touch a bullet and reduce its velocity to 0, or touch a speeding car and boost it to light speed. This ability is similar to one that gets talked about occasionally in Western comics, specifically Western comics fandom. You ever wonder how Superman can hold a whole plane by just the wing? Wouldn't it tear? Or how Hulk can support a whole mountain range without it just crumbling around him? Even with their super strength, some of these feats just don't work due to simple, real-world physics. Stuff like this is why the phrase comic book physics exists, but if writers do feel like explaining it, they do have an answer. Touch telekinesis. The idea is that when superheroes have to heft something really big, they create a bubble of force around it. That way, it doesn't fall to pieces, even if the angle is wrong for them to hold it like that. They went all in on this idea with the second Superboy. Connor Kent can basically fully control anything he touches, manipulating it just with his thoughts. And his super strength was rooted in this, rather than the regular Kryptonian stuff. And if you've been following our My Hero Academia content on this channel for a very long time, I'm talking about a long time now, you know that we refer to Deku as Baby Superman. So yeah, it kinda lines up. Gear Shift should be able to pull off something like this touch telekinesis. It lacks the fine control of that ability, but it still has many options available. One touch should either slow an object to a stop or make it go far, far faster. Imagine throwing, say, a car at your opponent, then adding Gear Shift to it. You can make it move too fast for them to counter. A simple touch could let you slow down your enemy's punch to almost nothing. And this may be the quirk that has grown the most through One For All. Without the raw power accumulated across past users, Gear Shift was far less impressive. A slight slow down or speed up effect would not accomplish much. The second may have used it primarily for tricks like temporarily slowing bullets rather than direct fighting. All For One dismissed the ability as weak originally, but now the tables have turned. Gear Shift's power increase allows it to affect every cell in someone's body individually. As things currently stand, this quirk could be the key to stopping All For One. At minimum, it is really going to help. But we need to remember, Deku is stronger than any single quirk now. Combo time, the final smash. Back during his second fight with Muscular, the 6th user N advised Deku to see the quirks of One For All as tools in his arsenal. Before, he was shifting between individual quirks, fighting like one past user at a time. N felt that Deku would be better at using multiple abilities at once, stringing them together to create a unique fighting style. The Smokescreen user was harsh, but he had a point. Deku's full potential lies in his ability to use multiple quirks at once. That not only puts him above the past users of One For All, but also almost anyone else in the world of My Hero Academia. Only All For One and Garaki's experiments can do something like this. This potential is what makes Deku truly the ultimate hero. Someone who can meet the greatest evil in the world head on. We got a taste of what combo abilities can do just recently at the beginning of Deku's most recent fight with Shigaraki. Black Whip, coupled with Fajin, created Black Chain, a powered up confinement ability. It is really interesting that Deku was able to use Fajin's output to boost Black Whip like this. Don't get me wrong, Black Chain itself was cool, but what it means is even cooler. This makes Fajin a universal combo piece. If it can boost non-physical force, it can enhance almost all of Deku's other quirks. Smokescreen can be weaponized into a smoke jet for an attack. Gear Shift speed up or speed down effect could become even more drastic. Float could supplement shoot style, expelling energy on a kick. It would be something similar to Gentle Criminal's sandwich trick, turning the force that holds you up into a weapon. Deku's creativity will help him get great use out of Fajin. The only quirk that isn't helped by explosive release would be Danger Sense. That ability doesn't come with physical output or a motion that Fajin could enhance. But even so, the sensory quirk has its own use in power combinations. Specifically, it pairs very well with Smokescreen. These two quirks combined give Deku his best defensive option for now. The weak spot of Smokescreen in the past has been Deku's own limited visibility. He can't fight inside the screen without a way to see his opponent. As such, he's only used it to buy himself a few extra seconds so far. It just helps him dodge one blow. Danger Sense allows Deku to get past that issue and fight from within the Smokescreen. Every incoming blow, he will be aware of. That doesn't necessarily help Deku target his opponent, but that should be enough. If his attacker misses, they'll be close enough for Deku to make them out and land a counterblow. Although there is a subtler combination that we have seen for a while that is worth keeping in mind. Black Whip combined with Float has given Deku amazing mobility. He can retrieve people while moving through the air freely, swinging through the air like a certain famous wall crawler. This maneuverability pushes our hero to a level close to that of Gran Torino. Now add on a personal gear shift to that, and we go to the next level. This brings Deku to a ridiculous level of speed and gives him the ability to relocate across the battle freely. You can't easily defend against someone who can attack from any angle. Now start to put those combinations together and you have an amazing battle plan. Deku is able to relocate at rapid speeds. He can make it hard to strike him, but he knows when his villains are going to strike. When he hits back, every blow can be enhanced by Fajin. With Black Whip to allow Deku to use 100% relatively safely, he has fully realized the power of One For All. In theory, there is no way to hit him, and there is no way to defend against him. No matter how strong you are, Deku has a way to take you down and end the threat you pose. And when it comes to Decay, the one quirk that has kept the hero community worried since the war broke out, well, One For All now has a counter to that as well. And it might surprise you, what seemed to be the most underwhelming quirk of them all, Smokescreen. Even Shigaraki's enhanced, contagious version of Decay needs something to spread through. Mostly it's gone with flecks of dust blown across the wind. That seemed near impossible to deal with, but now we have an answer. Smokescreen, coupled with Fajin, provides Deku with a way to create a screening effect. The smoke fills the air, and the force of release blows it away. So long as Deku keeps himself above ground level via float, even this most devastating offensive quirk is no match for One For All. Now that sounds like the greatest hero around. But what do you think? Do you see a weakness in Deku's power set? Or have you come up with an interesting combination of his quirks on your own? Let us know in the comments down below. I'm very interested to hear about that. As always, I'm Slice of Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you. Thanks again to Monster Legends for sponsoring the video. And don't forget to download the game to claim your starter pack rewards.